Welcome back, 4-Hers and anyone else out there watching today. This is another episode of MG Sprouts. Today we're going to read Jack's Garden by Henry Cole. This is the garden that Jack planted, and he used a garden claw, a pruning shears, a shovel, a hoe, a watering can, a hose, a rake, and a trowel. This is the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. And in this garden soil is all kinds of bugs, from earthworms to slugs to larvae to eggs. These are the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. And he's also using seeds kind of like what we did with the sunflower story. Sunflower seeds, some poppy seeds, and several other different seeds. Some are garden type seeds and some are flower seeds. This is the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. And as you can see, all the different clouds. There's some cirrus clouds, there's stratus clouds, cumulus clouds, and even a rain gauge to see how much rain the plants are actually getting. Oh, and feel this breeze. I am outside today in our nature trail, so it feels really good. These are the seeds that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. There's a robin in there trying to pull up some of those worms. There's germinated seeds, some leaves and the roots, and as you can see, they are slowly growing. These are the plants that grew from those seeds that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. And so in this picture, this is bee blum, some hollyhock. Let's see if there's, I don't see any sunflower seeds. This says it's a spiderwort. Oh, a carter snake. So there's all kinds of stuff in this picture. These are the bugs that formed on these plants that grew from the seedlings that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made it the garden that Jack planted. And as you can see, there's some poppies. There's the phlox. These are flowers from the seeds. There is bugs. There's a 7-spotted ladybird beetle. Several different kinds of beetles. All of these are different kinds of beetles. I did not know there was that many different kinds of beetles. Did you? Now, these are the flowers that bloomed from those buds that formed on the plants that grew from the seeds that spouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. Aren't those beautiful? Let's see, out of these, I would probably have to say my favorite would be the lupin. These right here, they're really tall and they're purple, and you see a lot of these on the side of the road. And these are the insects that sip nectar from the flowers that blossom from the buds that formed on the plants that grew from the seedlings that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. So these are butterflies and more beetles and bees and a milkweed bug. Beautiful, aren't they beautiful? Oh, and there's our swallowtail butterfly. Look at there. these are the birds that chase the insects that sip nectar from the flowers that blossom from the buds that formed on the plants that grew from the seedlings that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds and fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. And these are the different things. This is a yellow warble, a barn swallow, there's a dove egg, a goldfinch egg, some sunflowers, different kinds of eggs, and some eggs actually will hatch birdlings. And this is the garden that Jack planted. Look at all of that. Isn't that beautiful? There's a brown thrasher, and hopefully you remember that the brown thrasher is a Georgia bird. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed Jack's garden. Come back next week and see another story.